I'm Councilmember Tiffany D. Thomas, Chair of the Housing and Affordability Committee. I'd like to welcome all of you, council members that are in chambers, staff as well, and those of you that are watching via HTV or my YouTube page to our special called 9% Tax Credit Housing and Affordability Committee meeting. In chambers, we have Councilmember Alcorn, Councilmember Ramirez, and staff representing Councilmember Castillo, our Mayor Pro Tem Castex Tatum's office, staff representing Councilmember Kamen and Councilmember Jackson and Councilmember Twyla Carter and Councilmember Martinez, and Vice Mayor Pro Tem Peck is in chambers today. So we'll hear from the Housing and Community Development Department, our Multifamily Division Assistant Director Ryan Bibbs, and our Deputy Director Derek Sellers. I'm going to assume that Director will join us, or you'll provide closing comments.
Yes.
Wonderful. And then we do have 4 individuals that have signed up for public comments online. And if you wish to sign up for comments, you can do so at the table. And then we will read your name, and you will have a 3-minute maximum for your remarks. And once your time is expired, you'll hear the bell, but we do welcome comments and visibility from all of our applicants at this time. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Deputy Director, welcome.
Good afternoon. We're happy to be here to present the department's recommendations related to the 9% tax credit process. I'll provide some basic information about what 9% tax credits are, and then Deputy Assistant Director Ryan Bibbs will walk us through our recommendations. So let's go to the next slide. So tax credits are provided by the federal government through the IRS to provide equity towards the construction of affordable housing. The Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs, or TDHCA, administers these federal tax credits, and they award them through a competitive process. This competitive process is outlined annually by TDHCA through its Qualified Allocation Plan, or QAP. Next slide. So what we've provided to you here is a quick visual of what can be a complex funding structure. I'll go through it really quick for you. In short, the developer applies to TDHCA for the tax credits using that QAP process I mentioned, and that's what we're here for today. Is we're a part of that process. The city is. As part of that is seeking resolutions of support. Once awarded, once the TDHCA awards the tax credits to the developer, then they work with private investors to exchange the tax credits for equity. The equity comes into the deal along with other sources such as conventional loans and financing, the developer equity, or grants. Sometimes the city provides grants as well into these deals. So that's kind of the funding structure that we have here. Those tax credits are then realized for the investors over a 10-year period after the project is placed in service. So they get the allocation every year for 10 years. So let's go on to the next slide. So the QAP and this process is very highly competitive. Every single point matters. And what we're here to talk about today are those resolutions of support that constitute 17 points as a scoring item. Now, our resolutions for any development that is here in the city can receive up to 17 points. If one of these deals is located in the ETJ, then they must seek a resolution of support from the city and also from the county, and with each of them constituting half of the points towards that 17. Next slide. So there are 2 different types of tax credits that we typically look at, 9% and 4%. We're here for the 9% process. We just wanted to make that clear to y'all as we talk about this today. We routinely throughout the year bring 4% deals forward to y'all. We hold a public hearing and things like that. That's not as competitive. It does require private activity bonds, but I just want to make sure we're all clear we're here for the 9% portion. So along with our local government support that we're here for, there's also other items that are contingent items that they can receive points for. I just wanted to point out a couple of these because this often comes up in our conversations. So this includes community participation at 4 points and looking at input from community organizations at 4 points. So those are separate scoring items beyond our 17 that we're talking about today. We also look at that when we determine we have a scoring system for awarding that resolution. Community input's what we're looking for as well. So we have that as part of our scoring. But that 17 points, you can see it is far outpacing everything else that's in this list. If you don't get the 17 points, your deal will not go through. It is vital. Next slide. So I just want to quickly revisit the schedule for this. This schedule is based on the QAP, what TDHCA says is their deadlines within it. We released the guidance on this in December. Applications were due to us for the resolution process January the 12th. Of course, we're sitting here February the 5th for this special called meeting, and we'll begin bringing these items to City Council on the 11th. So that's Wednesday of next week. We did that just in case we had needed to have a tag week for an item or something. We have that built in because all of this is due to TDHCA by February 27th, and that is their deadline. So we're doing what we can to try to fit that. Next slide. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Ryan to discuss our internal process and our recommendations this year.
Thank you, Derek. Good afternoon, Chair, Pro Tem, council members, and staff. This next slide is going to discuss the priorities that we support for tax credit developments, new construction, rehabilitation, reconstruction, areas of low poverty, transit-oriented developments, on-site quality educational programming such as pre-K schools. Next slide. This slide here describes our scoring criteria. So minimum points to qualify is 10. A resolution can receive a max of 25 points. We look for things like mixed income, composition, on-site quality programming, building resiliency features such as generators. We added that this year for a total of 4 points that could be acquired through our scoring. On-site material recycling in areas that are in complete communities or TERS. Next slide. This slide and the next two slides is just describing our equitable dispersion policy. And here, this is our way of trying to equal the playing field, so to speak. So we know that some districts in the past have received way more requests than others. And we know that some districts don't receive as many as some of the others. So this is our way of trying to equal that playing field. Next slide. For the first bullet here, we are recommending that the council districts in A, B, D, H, I, J, and K be capped out at 3 recommendations, and council districts C, E, F, and G are capped out at 4. And if there's a rehabilitation or permanent supportive housing, PSH, it doesn't apply towards your cap. Next slide. This slide here describes how if their cap exceeds, this is how we review competitive factors to try to fill in the tiebreaker, so to speak. So we look at if it's an application that's going to be in a 3rd ward and it's going to receive an award from Houston Housing Authority or Houston Housing Affiliation, and it's going to receive a HUD Choice Neighborhood implementation grant. That's something we look at. We look at the HCD total score as well. If there's going to be generators, on-site educational programming, and poverty rate as well. Next slide. Here's a snapshot of our total resolutions received. This first column describes everything we received in all the different council districts. We received a total of 44. And the next column is the cap for each district. And then the next column is the total resolution. So we received 2 applications for rehab. So just keep that in mind when you look at this. It doesn't apply towards the cap in the second column. Next slide. Next slide. And here are all of the applications and recommendations. This page is going to describe the recommendations in District A, B, C, and D. You'll see that there's 1 rehab there for C as a family. And we have some families and some seniors and 1 PSH. Next slide. This slide is more of the recommendations that we have. We have a few more in D. One in D is a rehab at South Union Place. One in E, a few in F, a few in G, one in H, family in I, and a family in K. Next slide. And here are our recommendations for the properties that are going to be in the ETJ. All of these are families except one is a senior property, Pecan Lofts Crossing. These are recommendations for the ETJ. Next slide. Here's just a map of all of the 25 properties in total and where they're located, what part of town, an overlay of complete communities, an overlay of the council districts. Just to give the audience a good idea where they're located. Next slide. This slide and the next two slides is basically describing any property that are within 2 miles and of the same year of another property will need a resolution to move forward, a waiver. Next slide. Next slide. So these are the properties here that we are recommending that'll need a 2 mile same year waiver. Two rehabs, one is a family, one is a senior. Some seniors and families as far as new construction. Next slide, it's a continuation of that list. Next slide. This slide is describing any properties that are within 1 mile or 3 year of another allocation and will need a resolution or waiver to move forward. Next slide. And you see we'll just have one property there, Emancipation West. Seniors, Council District D. Next slide. This slide here is fairly new. I think we did one last year. Here is if any project is in a census tract that has 20% or more of the households that are assisted by housing tax credits.
Mr. Bibbs, can I pause you right here?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem's in the queue to talk about the waiver. Can we go back to the previous slide, please?
Is the Lofts at Stancliff, are you saying that that one is 2 miles to the one we had last year? The senior deal from last year?
Can we go back a slide?
So we need a 2 mile waiver because
So
Yes.
if
it's close, 2 miles.
if it's located within 2 miles of another deal that's coming in, then we have to do,
The
we
census
either
tract.
exclude or we do a waiver to allow them both to move forward. And the way our guidelines are written, since they're different populations, we allow them both to move forward. So one may be a family deal while another one's a senior deal. So as long as they're different populations, then we'll seek the 2 year, 2 mile rule waiver.
I can get you the pro tem,
Or
and
2
I think
miles
you're
a year.
asking which one is it. I can get you the list of what
I
is.
wanted
okay.
to know which one we were specifically talking about for 2 miles, because I'm thinking that it's more than 2 miles.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll pull it.
Yep.
Okay.
Next slide. Next slide. Yeah, right here. Okay, so this is fairly new, but this is if any project is in a census tract that has 20% or more households that are assisted by housing tax credits, and we want this project to move forward, it'll need a resolution or waiver as well. And then next slide. That property is Emancipation West.
So just a reminder, Emancipation West is tied to the CUNY Homes redevelopment choice neighborhood actions. So the last waiver that that Ryan discussed and this one are both for that same deal.
Yeah, this one is close to Trinity
Trinity East.
Trinity East.
And just a reminder, we updated our guidelines so they would be able to,
Yes.
because the Choice Neighborhood Project is competitive long-term, so we're leveraging the $50 million investment with additional replacement units, and this is one of the applications that came through. And then last year, I believe we had Trinity East that came through, just to bring to your remembrance.
Thank you. That concludes my presentation.
No additional questions in the queue. What? I spoke too soon. Councilmember Ramirez.
You spoke.
Well,
you indeed
Councilmember,
spoke
hold on.
yourself.
Before you ask your question, I do want to acknowledge Vice Chair Davis is in attendance in chamber. Councilmember Flickinger is in attendance. Councilmember Carolyn Evans Shabazz, staff from Councilmember Salinas's office. I think that's it. All right, full house.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you, gentlemen, for the presentation. A lot of work went into this, I know, and thank the chair for her work in furthering this process along. I did want to ask about a couple properties. Vista at Arbor Trace, and the developer is Atlantic Pacific, and Heritage at Reed. The developer on that one is Atlantic Pacific as well. Is there anyone here with Atlantic Pacific?
Which two properties?
It is Vista at Arbor Trace, District A, and Heritage at Reed, District D.
Okay.
All right. No, that's fine. If we could meet after the meeting, that would be great. Thank you.
Sure.
And just, I'm sorry, one other property I wanted to ask about, and that is in District G. It's the Sunstone. And just for the record, we have, I think, a resident who's here and is going to offer comment after the presentations, and also representative from State Representative Mano D. Ali's office is here as well. So thank you all for being here. But let me ask you about the Sunstone in G. Concern had been raised with us about the drainage situation. When you all are evaluating the proposals, do you look at the drainage situation that the proposed development will lead to?
So our evaluation on that is we look at, it cannot be in a floodway. And if it's in a 100-year floodplain, then you have to submit proof or evidence that you've mitigated against that 100-year floodplain. And so sometimes you'll see developments built on piers, and that where they put parking at the bottom and then all the housing is up top. But that's the extent to what we look at as it relates to that. We're underwriting for the resolutions of support. The major underwriting and look at some of these deals often comes at the TDHCA level because they're putting direct investment into it. We aren't.
Okay, my understanding is this proposed one sits within a MUD. Do you know if the MUD has expressed concerns about the drainage situation?
Are you aware of it?
I'm not aware of that.
Okay. Also, one of your slides referenced whether or not a project has support from the state representative over that area. Do you know if Representative Ayala had a position on this one?
So the TDHCA handles that. That's part of the packet that they
Okay.
turn in, that the developer turns in to TDHCA. And so they score that separate than us.
So not a part of your
Correct.
evaluation? Okay. All right, thank you. That's all I have.
Staff from Councilmember Huffman's office.
Thanks, Chair. Just to piggyback off of that, on the same project, there's letters of community support included in submission, and it says, yes, our office isn't aware of any letters of support that were included in this project. So could you share those with our office?
We can.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to add two things. Thank you, Bradley, for sharing that. The community engagement piece is so important. And so if developers have not reached out to your offices to engage with super neighborhoods or civic clubs, this is the time. I would tell you that we're at Super Bowl at this point. That conversation should have been happening. And to be clear, that your letters of engagement should represent from the people who actually live, work, and play in the community, right? So that's just something to pay attention to, which then should be an indicator that they've engaged with residents that would either be a recipient, a benefit of that, and have community support, because there's nothing worse than doing all of this work and spending money on this application and then come here and then we realize there's been no community engagement. And then what happens is when a project goes up in your district, you're inundated with, what is this? We didn't know anything. So let's try to make sure that we get ahead of that. And then I believe City Legal will provide just additional legal guidance once this item comes back to council for vote on what our obligation is for the resolution. So we are not in violation of any fair housing violations, and we do have a tag built into this item, but it's a very quick turnaround if we tag for the deadline, which is hard for the applicants, and the department has to work expeditiously. So just keep that in mind, some nuance as we move forward with this. Councilmember Flickinger.
Got a question on these applications. How much do we look at the applicant's financial ability to do these deals?
So that underwriting is performed by TDHCA. All of that goes into TDHCA for their review.
Okay, so
And
the
they-
city
They
doesn't,
utilize that to determine whether and how much of the tax credits should be awarded.
okay, so the city really doesn't have anything to do with that?
No, because we're
Okay.
not funding into the deal.
Thank you.
No.
If any of these deals come back for funding
Correct.
down the road, we're definitely going to be doing all the underwriting and looking at financial information.
The reason I was asking is we had an item pulled last week that I guess is coming back this week where the developer's asking for a $4 million loan. And, you know, as competitive as these 9% tax credits are, I mean, they're essentially 90% tax credits. I would have thought we want to make sure that they're actually able to financially do it if they get the award. Because obviously somebody that gets the award and isn't able to do it has bumped somebody else out.
And just a little bit of a piggyback on that. I think many in this room would say that a lot of these deals, as they come forward for 9% tax credits, even after they get awarded, there's still a gap they're trying to
Right.
close. And gap has gotten bigger over the
Yep.
last 4 to 5 years as costs have gone up. So
Yep.
where they thought they were close and they could figure it out, that gap has gotten a little bigger. So they often try for other sources such as home funds or disaster recovery funds or something like that to assist in closing that gap. Of course, if we fund into it, as Ryan said, we're going to underwrite it to make sure that all the sources and uses are there. And of course, we'll get units out of that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. And just to remind, this is what our 2026 or 2025 deals, some of them are still having trouble closing because of the cost. And just to keep on your radar, the DR24 package that we approved, the $100 million investment, 50 million of that is multifamily, 50 is single family. That is hopefully coming on the street in the spring, late spring. So that's $50 million that potentially some of these deals will come back to council. So you'll see this. So this is step one, where we're approving the resolution. Then by June in the summertime, TDHCA will approve theirs, right? So they'll score, and there's a possibility that some of these projects may fall out by that time. Then we're notified of potentially of what comes back to us. So we have 14 recommended. We might get 8, may shake out. Sometimes they change, and there's alternatives. They'll come back to the department and say, well, is there another one you can recommend to fill the gap? So these things are still moving. Once we briefed, I think there were still some projects that shifted in and out
Yes.
up until to the point of this, and they'll probably still shift up until the time we vote. So this is still very fluid. So just to keep your eyes on the 3-step processes that we have February, we have June, and then we'll have early fall. And then with the limited dollars we have from council, hopefully we'll be able to support some projects. Councilmember Al.
Yeah, to that point, I usually feel comfortable supporting gap financing on the ones that pass all the muster of the tax credit deals, because that means they've been fully vetted through the process.
Yeah.
It's always kind of expected that they'll come back for some additional gap financing. On the applicants to whom we're giving the resolutions, are they mainly ones we've worked with before, we've approved before, or are there some new developers, new applicants?
Some are ones we've worked with before, and then some are new developers.
Like half and half, you think, or?
I'll have to double
Okay, it
check,
doesn't,
but
yeah, I'd just like to know. And then if we have worked with them before, do we look at the reputation or the condition and everything of the developments that they've built? Is that part of the process?
it is, yes.
Okay.
The track record, for sure.
Great.
Councilmember Hubbard, District G.
Just one more question, going back to the 1 year, 2 mile exemption. So we have two projects in District G that are within 2 miles of each other. So what would happen if council would decide not to vote in favor of the exemption? Maybe I missed it when we were talking about it earlier, but what would happen, say, to those two projects?
The deal might most likely won't need the information they need to put into their application to send to the state.
For
And it-
both?
For the, right, to be evaluated by the state, and most likely won't move forward.
I see. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thanks.
No other questions in the queue. I'm just going to just opine briefly and then we can move on. Is this a less than an hour meeting? Are you kidding me? Are we that good?
I think there's some public comments though. So
Right, we do have 5 for public comment, and then if you are interested in sharing, please sign up for that. I just want to underscore the importance of community engagement. So if you are a representative of an owner or developer and you have not reached out to any council office, I want to ask you to track down your member or the staffer today before the sun goes down. It is incredibly important. And then for those of us in the horseshoe, I just want to just keep before you, housing affordability is the #1 issue that people are struggling with. So our ability to maintain affordability and get these units on the street is incredibly important to make sure that people are housed and stabilized and that they can age in place with seniors, that families, children have access to good schools and access to transit. And then those rehabs and the permanent supportive housing, which has really underscored a lot of the work we've done with the unhoused community. So keep that in mind as y'all are thinking through this. And for the developers, help the offices champion your work if you have not done so. So if offices are saying that they are unclear about your projects, that is an indicator that you have not helped them champion your work. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to make a call out to see if anyone from CSH Lofts at Stancliff LTD was in the room, because I know there has not been any community engagement, so we can talk after the meeting. Thank you. I see you.
Comments, we're ready.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I know this is a quick process. The department, we appreciate all of you for being here today and help us along in this process. Feel free, we can answer any questions. If we need to meet between now and the 11th, we'll get on your calendar to make that happen. If you have specific questions on this. This is dynamic. We've already had, of the 44 submitted, 19 applications withdrew. And that could still happen. Something that we didn't touch on at the end here, there is an appeals process that is allotted to every one of these developers. They've been notified that where they stand in relation to this, they can file an appeal, and it's something that we consider and should be resolved prior to next Wednesday's vote on this item. But thank y'all for y'all's support and y'all's help along the way.
Thank you so much. At this time, public comment is open. We have 4. Ms. Patricia Redmond. Oh, there's only one. Okay, perfect.
Left, right, other one. Okay. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Patricia Redmond, and I am here representing 870 homeowners in the subdivision of Lakes of Parkway. Lakes of Parkway has an adjoining physical presence with an application being filed by DMA Development, which I believe translates into your 1176 Highway 6 project. Okay. Lakes of Parkway and the proposed project come within the MUD 365 district, and I'm here to specifically speak to the issue of drainage and runoff water and potential flooding. Water runs downhill, simple fact. Any developer that approaches and says that they're going to do self-contained runoff water, if I fill my sink at home, eventually it's going to overflow if the volume exceeds. And so although the developer has expressed intentions of doing a retention pond, we are still south of the water flow. The MUD district has met with the developer and has talked about capacities and is currently requiring updated engineering studies. Let's see. Yeah, the MUD has expressed their limited capacity. There have also, since the MUD came into effect, there have been additional restrictive requirements under requirements called Atlas 14 that came into place after the Harvey flooding. And so any proposed project would need to submit updated engineered studies also in accordance with those additional requirements. In the past, this particular 3-acre tract, in 2021, there was a proposed project that did not occur because of the same issue, proposed runoff water and potential of flooding. To give you a better visual of how Lakes Parkway is impacted by runoff water in the general Highway 6 area, that includes this tract of land and additional tracts of land that are currently being cleared, is the runoff water runs into the MUD district. The MUD district utilizes within the walls of Lakes of Parkway their lake system. So runoff water from this project would physically come into the MUD district system, which would also be physically into the, what you and I would call the picturesque lakes, but they have a MUD function. And so additional water literally runs into Lakes of Parkway prior to exiting south of the community towards West Park. Okay. Because of additional requirements and
Your time's up, but let me ask you a clarifying question. What's your intersection at Highway 6? You're saying Lakes of Parkway at what?
we are Briar Forest and Highway 6.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
I
So
know
we
where
have
you're at.
So in conclusion, and I have a statement I can read from MUD that they gave to the developer.
And
But
feel free to send an electronic copy as well.
Yes, yes. But in conclusion, Lakes of Parkway residents request that the city council approve, make no approvals until the engineering studies are completely done and that they are in satisfaction to the MUD district's requirements. Additionally, the Lakes of Parkway residents would also ask city council to not approve a waiver of the 1 mile, 2-year development for this specific project because there is an adjacent tract of land that would follow this same path. Thank you.
Thank you. Laura Gaye. Laura Gaye. Nathan Kelly. Nathan wouldn't miss the Super Bowl. We know that.
Chair Thomas, members of council, it's great to see you. Thank you all so much for your effort as we've worked through these 9% pre-applications and requests for resolution. I have 2 applications in the ETJ and was just here simply to answer any questions that they've come up. But if there are none, just again, a big thank you to you all for your consideration.
Thank you. No questions at this time. Sure. Attorney Hunter, forgive me.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chair Thomas and Council. I am giving you back your afternoon. I was here to answer questions.
We appreciate that. And Sunny Lawani.
Thank you for the audience. I'm not here for any project, but I did attend one of your community engagements like a year or 2 ago. And I'm not even sure you represent my community, but I was pretty clear that you deeply care about these issues. And I have been receiving notices about these meetings, and I decided to show my face to educate myself. I'm from the North Houston district, popularly called Greenspoint.
Yes.
Okay, and I think we probably check all metrics when it comes to under-deserving, population. I just have three points here. Real quick, I just want to acknowledge that the city is doing so much for us in terms of urban renewal. With coming in conjunction with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers in terms of mitigating flooding and so on and so forth. So we do appreciate that. But having said that, there's still so much that needs to be done. We are inundated with, I'm a pastor, I represent, faith-based organization, and we are inundated with calls for rental assistance and so on and so forth. There's a section on Greens Road this is not some rural back of the desert community. Right across us is the immigration office. We rely on suction pumps and wells in 2026. So I'm hoping that I can be redirected to whoever needs to help us in that area. We've written to the engineering department, but we haven't heard back on that. And then secondly, we sit on about 9 acres of land. And we think we can probably commit 5-6 acres into multifamily. So anyone here.
Right, I'm sure their ears are
right
peeking
there,
behind you.
Please, you can
You
reach
said
out
9
to us,
acres,
and we are
huh?
willing to give you a tour and
Sure.
give you more details.
Sure.
And that's all I have to say. And I want to thank every one of you for what you're doing, and we do appreciate it, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Lawani. The Chief of Staff for Councilmember Jackson, she was in the audience, but you can hang back and talk to one of her senior aides as well. She represents Greens Point. We'll probably be more than happy to share more about what they're doing in your area and then receive your request for additional support. Okay? All right, wonderful. Colleagues and friends, it is 2:35. Y'all are too good to us. We're going to conclude this meeting at the time. Vice Chair, close us out, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just want to remind everyone that the Housing Affordability Committee will have its regular scheduled February the 17th at 10 a.m. And the District F office will send out information for all of the upcoming meetings. Madam Chair? Oh, yeah, it'll be me. I'll take the ball.
The chair, thank you so much.